Welcome to the Open Space and Ecology Committee of February 26, 2025. I'm going to call the meeting to order and roll call. Mary?
Present.
Anthony?
Present.
New member Julie?
Present.
Michelle Salmon present. Erin Becker is absent this evening because she's doing the lighting for the musical at the Lippman School. Higher purpose tonight. Indispensable purpose tonight. And Barbara's on her way, and we have one new member who's not sworn in yet, who's, I believe, traveling.
Yes, my understanding is he's out of the country. He was not able to be sworn in last week and should be back next week. So we're hoping to have him sworn in and join us next month.
Okay. Is there any changes to the agenda, or do I have a move to adopt the agenda?
I move to adopt the agenda.
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye.
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 Aye. Announcements? Do we have any announcements?
I don't, but I thought we might want to use this opportunity to let Julie introduce herself.
That would be awesome. Julie, you need to turn your mic on. Oh,
Just introduce yourself briefly, you know, what brought you here, how long you've been in town, what you do, special interests, any of that sort.
Julie Armstrong. I've been in Brisbane since April of 2023. I have an interest in biology and ecology that goes back to studying at Stanford as a biologist, and I'm a data analyst now.
Tell us also, we can see you walking your dog around town, looking at everything.
Yes, my dog has a great interest in open space.
Okay. And also, I would just like to really acknowledge Jason Noonan and the amazing job he did on open space and ecology during his tenure. He did some really great work with us over that time, and he will be missed. And I particularly want to mention, like, one of the things that came up in the council meeting on Monday, or whatever night it was, Thursday night, is that we have finally filed the deeds and for the properties that the city of Brisbane has purchased, 48. I think it's 48. I don't know how many it is.
Something around there? I can confirm
it's
real
a lot.
fast.
So we filed the deeds finally, but the work that Jason did helping with the open space plan with Mary and I, going up and assessing the different lots, and we together made recommendations that changing the criteria, and part of that was based on his field work, and the help that he gave with that was really important. We were allowed to put 6 more properties in the preservation parcel available for purchase because of that work. And he also worked pretty tirelessly on a couple of the other committees, and I just really want to acknowledge his contribution. So I really enjoyed working with him on the different subcommittees.
He will be missed.
Yeah. Let the record show Barbara's here now too.
Sorry, bus.
You know, Samtrans, gotta love it.
Yeah, I ate in 5 minutes.
At least we have one. Okay. Do we have any other announcements? Oral communications?
I have none.
Shall we move to approval of the minutes? Did everyone get a chance to take a look at the minutes?
I just notice we do have a remote participant, so I may want to give a moment. I don't see any raised hand or anything, but it does look like we have someone else with us. Okay, I think we can go ahead.
Okay. Any changes to the minutes? Any? Okay. Do we have enough of a quorum to be able to, let's see, Ebel, Rogers, Salmon, and Walker?
good.
Yes, to be able to approve the minutes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
I make a motion to approve the minutes from the last meeting.
I'll second.
Okay, and all in favor?
Aye.
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 And
Aye.
Julie, you abstained because you weren't here. Oh, good. Okay, let's move on. Next thing on the agenda is, wait, where am I? I have too many pieces of paper here. Old business. Consider the process and possible subcommittee for OSEC Baylands EIR review. Adrian, do you want to speak to that?
Sure. So we discussed this briefly last month and decided we wanted to bring it back this month. We may indeed, since we have one additional member joining next month, want to revisit it at that time. But I thought we'd go ahead and look at the expected chapters for the Baylands EIR and divide up who is assigned to review what chapters. So should the EIR come out sometime in between meetings, we don't lose that time for folks to begin that review process. I will say we don't have any news about when we can expect that, but I think we are all just trying to be prepared when it does come. So I did find a list of the chapters of the Baylands EIR from the NOP. So I've put that together here with the list from the quarry. Let me see if I can hide some of these things to make this more full screen. Sorry.
I think if you use the little, see the little arrow to the right? Right there, yeah, I think you can just click on, yeah.
Did I get it all the way gone? Thought there was a view that was gonna let me make it like full screen, but I think that looks like it might be about the best I can do. So let's see if I can shrink that a little bit. So we do have, I don't know that that's, no, I don't think that. Well, maybe for now. For them, that helps a little bit. Yeah. I do think that means the remote participants can't see anybody, but I think that's probably okay for a few minutes for this discussion so you guys can see more of the screen. So we have introductory chapters, the executive summary, the introduction, the general environmental setting, the project description. Those are mostly the same chapters, although the quarry EIR did not have the general environmental setting chapter. For the quarry, everyone reviewed those so that you all had that kind of base context. I'd recommend probably doing the same. And then you'll notice the Baylands EIR chapters are not in the proper order because I wanted to just align the content with the most related content for the quarry. So they're a little bit out of order, but hopefully we can work through that. I did ask Erin, since she wasn't going to be here this evening, if she had any thoughts, and she said she was happy to continue with the same content she reviewed for the quarry if folks were amenable to that. So I'm not sure if there's anyone who is very interested in taking on the geology, soils, and seismicity, or the hazards and hazardous materials, or the hydrology and water quality chapters. It does look like the mineral resources chapter from quarry is not one that exists in the Baylands.
I'd be interested in, can we scroll a little bit so that I can see? Oh, it doesn't quite fit on the screen, does it?
It doesn't. Yeah, I mean, I have it in a slide version if you feel like that's easier to see. I was worried the text was going to be too small for everybody to read it, but if this is better, we can go with this version. I'm not sure if you guys have a preference.
This is better for me.
Okay. I'll leave this one up and I'll use the Excel version for us to take notes then.
Is that the bottom of the list is there more down below?
No, that's the bottom.
Okay, that's the whole list. Well, you know, it's gonna be hard because we don't know how many pages it's gonna be for each one, so it's not
Yeah.
balanced at this point.
And plus, we have more folks on the committee, so.
Right.
Yeah.
And I guess I'm curious with Julie, is there anything that you're particularly interested in?
Well, with my background, I would have probably opted for biological resources, but I can see that someone else is doing that.
Well, I'm on that, but I'm happy if you want to look at that.
Okay.
And I'll take hazards and hazardous materials.
I'm looking at the Baylands and I don't see, am I just not seeing housing?
I did not see housing listed as a separate chapter
Oh,
in the NOP.
all right.
There is
Kind-
growth-inducing impacts,
Yeah.
irreversible environmental effects. That's pretty
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'm sure they touch on it in other things. It just kind of seemed odd that there wasn't an actual chapter
It's
dedicated to
probably
it. But
land use and planning policy.
Yeah, I
Maybe.
was thinking either land use and planning policy, or I don't know what I would expect in socioeconomic effects, but perhaps there would be something in there.
Oh, I'm sure there will be.
Yeah.
I could live without aesthetic. Well, I don't know. Aesthetic resources was so awful in the core EIR.
You think it's going to be better with the Baylands?
I was hoping.
What about irreversible environmental effects? You kind of like that stuff.
Yeah, yeah. I'll take irreversible environmental effects,
And
growth-inducing impacts, if that's nobody else wants that, to make up for my loss of agriculture and forestry.
do we have everything covered? Wait, we don't have Jason's covered. Recreation? Anybody interested?
I'm not a fun person. I think I should pass on that one.
Well, Jason also had land use and planning policy, and I know that's
Wait,
probably 4.1.
Oh.
Oh, I don't know why I didn't highlight his name on that one. Sorry.
I don't know. You know, I can take on I don't know how bad hazards and hazardous materials is going to be. The only reason I selected that one is because I have studied that before on the Baylands
Yeah.
issues.
I could take a look at recreation.
That'd be
since I only
good.
had one.
Yeah. And who's doing? Are you doing who's doing socioeconomic effects?
No one yet.
We'll assign it to the new guy.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Because well,
That's what you guys did to me.
but he's like
Is it new? But
he's a scientist.
yeah.
He works at Slack. So
What's his area of science-ness?
I think he's an engineer.
Okay.
I'm not sure.
His title is sustainability. I don't know if it's sustainability manager or something similar to that. And Slack Stanford Linear Accelerator, not Slack the tech company, because
Oh, sorry. Slack for me has always been the Stanford Linear
I thought
Accelerator.
the same way, but I mentioned it to my husband, and he was like, "Oh, don't they? What?
So
Not that Slack."
He might really well, you know what? We can shuffle this around when he comes.
Yeah.
So does that mean for air quality, greenhouse gas, transportation, utilities, cultural tribal resources, noise, public services, those are all going to be the same as they were in the past?
I'm okay with cultural and tribal resources. and I'm okay with hazards and hazardous materials. I think we all ought to look at cumulative impacts, frankly.
Yeah, I think that's good.
Is everyone gonna cover alternatives again as well? We did that last time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's fine.
Let me see, what did we not? So Barbara did not want to take on aesthetic resources again, so that would be open. And
Right now, I've only got 2, so I should probably.
and then we don't have anyone on land use and planning policy either.
That's kind of a big one. So maybe, we don't know, maybe we should all do that one. It's also one of those. And environmental setting impacts and mitigation measures.
That should probably say all, wasn't it all?
That one was all, oh yeah, sorry, that didn't get copied.
Okay.
That's really, I think, pretty brief. It's like the introduction before it goes into the
Yeah.
individual subchapters. So yeah, I think that would be one for all, but I think it's gonna be a brief one.
And land use and planning policy is probably going to be kind of.
That's going to be meaty.
I would expect
will.
so.
Yeah.
It probably is one that all of us should look at, though. Guess it depends how many, how many,
How many pages?
yeah. It's,
Yeah.
it's almost too early to tell. We know what people are interested in,
Mm-hmm.
and then we'll pick up the slack, I guess.
Yeah. So if it comes out before the next meeting, I'll start on irreversible environmental effects and growth-inducing impacts. But if it doesn't come out, then we'll revisit this next.
Yeah. And if it comes out, I'll start on hazards and hazardous materials, my favorite thing.
So will it be a 30-day turnaround, or do you think
No.
we'll get? No,
I sure
it
as
can't
heck
be.
hope we're going to get longer.
Yeah. Okay.
We had more.
We had how long for the quarry? 90 total?
Well, that's
We
that's
ended
because
up
everyone
getting-
complained, right? Because
Yeah.
we didn't have enough time. So I'm hoping that.
We didn't get 90. It was
Wasn't it? I thought it was
60
60
days, I think.
originally and then it was extended 30.
it 60 originally? I thought it was 45 originally. Maybe I'm wrong. I can't remember.
Yeah.
October 6th to January 6th. I guess it was 90 days.
I think
Yeah.
we could reasonably expect it would probably be that long.
At least. This is
yeah.
going to be a much more weighty thing. We've had the, we spent months, we spent almost a year, this committee spent almost a year going over it before the first time. So I don't know. We'll have what we have.
I think we have enough of a start that if it comes out between meetings, we come back the first meeting we have afterwards. People have something that they can get started on, which is good. You're not losing time. And then if we need to fill some of the gaps, we can do so. Or if somebody ends up with, I have 2 chapters, but they're the 2 longest chapters and we need to shuffle, hopefully we can still accommodate that as well.
Yeah. Okay.
Karen, were you gonna?
Yeah, what I was trying to say, first of all, Julie, nice to meet you. Sorry I didn't introduce myself. I wasn't at your orientation, but I didn't know if you told her just about the background of the specific plan, and that's informing this review.
We did talk about that a little bit, and I think when we get to the regular subcommittee items, we can talk about that because we had specific plan chapters, subcommittees as well, and we now have a gap there. So we can talk more in detail about the chapters, but I think we kind of very briefly touched on it in orientation.
Okay. Are we ready to move on to new business? Is that what's next?
Yes.
So I haven't served a full year as chair, and I would like to be chair this year. But And then I don't know who wants to be,
Why hasn't, I mean, I don't remember, why was it not a full year?
because we didn't do the election until July or something
Okay.
like that.
I forgot.
Yeah, normally we do the election in July, so we're doing it now simply because Jason was the chair and was not reappointed. So we technically have no chair until we make new election.
You were vice chair, Michelle, or you were chair?
Yes, I was vice chair.
Yeah,
Yeah, I am still vice chair.
yes.
So, yeah, I would like to be chair. It's been a long time since I've been chair on the committee, and this will probably be my last go around as chair, so, but it's up to you guys.
Were you, I'm just trying to remember, was I chair before or after you?
You've been chair before me and after me.
I've only been chair once, I thought.
I think twice.
Is there a record?
I don't remember either, but I think when I started staffing, which was about 2016, you were chair at the time.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
since then, I'm not sure.
I don't think I've been chair since 2016.
Are you interested in vice chair?
There is a record, and if you give me a minute, I can try to pull it up.
Perfect.
I mean, this might not be the time for me to jump up and down.
Well,
But
I
I'm
was-
curious.
I will-
I really am.
Also, I'm wondering because you have said that this is going to be a tough year for you with
Yeah,
work.
exactly.
So, and being here on time for this is important.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not usually more than 1 or 2 minutes late, but that's a problem as chair.
Yeah.
So,
No, there's no guarantee I'll always be on time, but, okay.
Oh, there you are. You were 21, 22.
oh, okay.
Yeah.
It was 2019, and it must go back further than that. And you were also 2014, and I was 2013.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I have been chair twice. God.
Yep, me too. My first year as chair was completely consumed by the draft.
Yeah, that I
by the
remember.
EIR. Wow, this is cool. Send me a copy of this. I forgot how long I've been on the committee. Jeez.
So are there any other let's try to have a process. Any other nominees for chair or any nominees for vice chair?
Well, I'll nominate Michelle for chair.
You got my vote. Yes, thank you.
Okay, do you vote?
Maybe we'll call that a second.
I second that.
All in favor? Aye.
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 Any opposed? And vice chair? Any nominations for vice chair? Do you want to step up this time? Or Mary?
Mary, yeah.
No, thank you.
I mean, we try not to thrust it on the new guy, but.
yeah.
But he's not new anymore. He's been here a month or two.
Yeah.
I nominate Anthony for vice chair. Do I have a second?
Oh, I second that.
All in favor?
Anthony, are you willing?
Yeah, yeah.
Sure, I could do that. It
Okay.
sounded like a hard no from Mary. So.
Yeah, I really got this.
Yeah, she was, she went through that. She was
I've been it
2020,
twice.
2021.
Yeah, oh, once, yeah.
Yeah,
I'm-
she was,
I'm good.
she was the chair during COVID.
Oh, man.
Yeah,
It was all on Zoom.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
All in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
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 All right, let's move on to our next items of agenda, which is staff updates. Thank you, guys. I promise to be good, and if I'm not, tell me.
Oh, sorry, that was what we already discussed. Yeah, oops. Okay, staff updates. I've got a decent sized list here. You may have noticed that the pool contract for construction of the heating electrification was approved at the council meeting last Thursday. Very exciting milestone for us. We've been working on that for a very long time. We've got a site meeting with PG&E next week, so I'm hoping we're gonna be able to move forward quickly, but we do still expect it to be a lengthy construction process. I think they actually had, did they have this in they must have had this in the blast today. The cover of the star is our dark sky ordinance explainer, so do check that out. And we are also working on a case study. I'm not sure if we're going to put it in the star or just on the website, but we're working on a case study of some different lighting examples so that we can kind of really explicitly show people a picture and this is, good, this is bad, this is why, here's what you could replace it with. So that's in the works.
Adrian, is this a time I can ask a question about
Sure.
this? So it came up on Facebook, Residents of Brisbane today, a person who has an issue with some very bright commercial lighting in Crocker Industrial Park. And I copied that and posted it. But she also read through the ordinance and she had some confusion about whether or not this business needs to comply at this point. And so I suggested that she contact City Hall and also the code enforcement and ask. I also quoted what was in the blast from January 22nd of, when to comply and when compliance, et cetera.
Yeah, so we did update our dark sky website, brisbaneca.org/dark sky will get you directly there. On the bottom of the page, we added some information about who to contact about what. So it's got me or planning or code enforcement. So we're all kind of working together on it at this point in time. But we've had outreach from a number of different people, including businesses, saying, hey, here's some picture of my lights. Is this good? What do I need to do? So we're trying to help people with that, but hoping that the case studies will also give people a little bit better visuals and, continue with that education process.
Okay. I just want to let you know that there's, people are very excited about it.
Yeah.
And really
Excited and confused.
and confused.
So
Even I
we're
had to go
trying
back and
to,
read
yeah,
it.
that's prompting these kinds of things of, okay, what else can we do? How else can we break this down for people? So
It
we're
was
trying
very
to work on that.
convenient to be able to just take a picture of that and put it directly into the comment. So thank you.
Yep. We are also starting facility reviews of our own public facilities. In fact, tomorrow. So we're starting through the GK12 program with a company called Everwatt that we were already connected with through that program. GK12, you might remember, is the government and K through 12 schools utility energy efficiency program, and they're an energy services company, so they're going to be looking at all of our lighting for us, and also just while they're out there looking at all of our energy equipment to see if there are any opportunities that we can take advantage of, free or low cost improvements through existing utility rebates and such. So that is getting underway for our facilities. Also getting underway very soon, out of nowhere, is the solar project at the library. So I hadn't heard anything for months, and all of a sudden they're reaching out saying, hey, let's get a meeting. Let's get a pre-construction meeting. We want to get started. Oh, I don't know what just happened to our monitor up there. Is that happening for you guys?
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, looks like we're stabilized again. The solar at the library is expected to start construction perhaps the week after next.
Well, that's exciting.
Awesome.
Yeah.
What do we have details about that project? I'm curious.
So that project, along with the one that was completed, I guess 2 years or so ago at Mission Blue Center, are being done through Peninsula Clean Energy's GovPV program. So we have a power purchase agreement with Peninsula Clean Energy, and that really helped us to, be able to let them do the lion's share of the work. They were able to coordinate a kind of mass purchasing RFP for, I don't know, I think a few dozen perhaps sites all around the county. So our Mission Blue Center was the first site they did construction for in the first round, and this is the first site in their second round. So we're at the top of their list. Maybe we turn around their contracts faster or something. So, yeah, very exciting. Glad to have that moving forward. I think it's a 33 kilowatt system, but I could get you those details if you're really interested in seeing that.
Yeah.
Is that?
Yeah.
I'm not sure what's.
Super curious.
Yeah. I can follow up with you on more details on that. We'll probably, we were on a call today with some library staff just about timing and impacts. And is that you? No, not.
I can kind of hear something buzzing, like zzz, zzz. So I think something is at the verge of shorting out.
Interesting.
And
Okay.
it sounds like it's from above us, so I think maybe there's an electrical fault in the projector.
Okay. Well, hopefully we're going to make it through this meeting. We should be sure to pass that info along. Okay, where was I? 33 kilowatt, I will check in, get you some details. We did ask for some photos as the construction goes. You know, both the library and we are interested in kind of sharing that out as that project moves forward. It could be up to 6 weeks for construction, but I think they expect it'll probably be a little faster than that. And then Dolores and I have been spending a lot of time lately on SB 1383 record keeping. For Julie's benefit, if you're not familiar, SB 1383 is the state law that requires everyone to have organic waste collection services and to properly sort your materials. And cities have a whole lot of requirements as far as procurement and keeping records and making sure everyone has all those necessary services. So we have an informal review of our record keeping tomorrow, which Dolores and I are looking at as basically a practice audit. Basically, CalRecycle can audit jurisdictions to make sure you are complying. And so we've heard some cities are already starting to get audited. We had a friendly offer from our assistance contact. So we're going to take her up on that, have an informal review tomorrow. Hopefully all goes well and we'll feel more prepared if we do get hit with a real audit.
Adrienne, is that, is that an audit of the entire city or just?
It is an audit of our SB 1383 record keeping. So as a jurisdiction, which is primarily, you know, out of our office in partnership with Scavenger as our hauler. So we're getting, you know, a good deal of our records from Scavenger. So we requested those a few weeks ago to make sure we're ready. And then we also have the county manages the edible food recovery portion of the requirements countywide. So we have to get some records from them. So it's a lot of somewhat tedious administrative work, but
Barbara, did you have a question?
Yeah, I was just hoping once that information is sort of compiled, if you would share that with us.
I would have to check on that. I mean, I don't know that you're really going to want to see it. I mean, we're really talking like, yeah, I mean, like,
I love a good spreadsheet.
large spreadsheet with like file links and file paths and like hundreds of documents of compliance rosters. Honestly, I'm not sure actually that I could share that with you. That would probably not be appropriate, but I could check if you really, really want.
Yeah, no, I'm sort of curious what the numbers look like and how we're doing and where the, you know, if maybe, I don't know, is it possible to share it without the links? Because I don't actually want to go snooping in anybody's business.
I think I could probably, we could probably come back with a kind of summary report that would be more what you're looking for. I can tell you that we have virtually 100% compliance with the requirements to have compost bins and have since last fall sometime.
Yeah, I can see that scrolling up in my notes.
Yeah, so we have that, and we are doing great in terms of meeting our procurement requirement because we have Scavenger's anaerobic digester providing renewable natural gas and heat at their facilities. That covers like 60% of the annual amount of recycled organic waste product that the city is required to buy.
And then we also have the compost drop. That's another
Yep,
thing.
the compost giveaways add to that. And then we have the countywide compost broker program with the Resource Conservation District, where we and all the other jurisdictions contribute financially through a grant from CalRecycle for SB 1383 implementation, at least up to date. We use those funds to buy compost and have the RCD coordinate to get it on agricultural lands in the county. And increasingly looks like they're able to move beyond the county into like Santa Cruz and Monterey counties as well. So I could do a more comprehensive report on that at some point in time. That would kind of give you more detail on that without sharing the whole tedious administrative file folder.
So I have a quick question, Adrian. Compliance would entail that you put the green bins out, but the people who pick it up don't know if the households are actually using it or sorting it, or if they're putting
Au
their compost in the
contraire.
trash. Or they do. So that's
yeah.
part of the audit?
Part of it, well, that's not necessarily part of the CalRecycle informal audit that we are having tomorrow, but part of the requirements are that we and or our hauler on our behalf are doing, what is it called? Route reviews or waste evaluations. We are doing route reviews, which effectively means somebody is going out periodically and flipping the lids on all of the bins. And so you will start to see, if you haven't already, some bins get tagged for not getting their waste picked up because they haven't been properly sorted, and they need to properly sort it and then have it, call back and have scavenger do a return visit to pick up, or have it dumped as trash instead of recycling or compost, whichever case it may be. And generally they're going to pay for that additional service to have it.
Without that stamp?
And that having that record of whose houses they flipped the lids at, or whose, what the properties they flipped the lids at, and what the results of that were, and how many waste loads had to get, or, bins had to get dumped as trash instead of what they were supposed to be. Those records are all part of, we have to keep records on all of those
That
things.
makes sense.
Yeah.
Thank
And
you.
we got a good work tag.
Yes, Scavenger is doing those now too. So you'll start to get you get your gold star, you get a
Wait,
good
when-
job tag.
Where's mine?
They maybe haven't flipped your lid yet.
In
but most
in my
likely they'll
neighborhood,
get there.
There's lots of lid flipping because people are actually taking the recyclables out of the bins
Oh.
and stealing them.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. Couple more. We had a meeting with Heirloom. We met a couple of Heirloom staff at the Habitat event in February, and had just a quick meeting with them, and they were open to hosting a tour for up to 10. So we would love to coordinate scheduling to take a group, presumably of OSEC members and staff, over to tour their facility. If you're not familiar, Heirloom is a carbon sequestration company that's literally like 2 doors down, right here on Valley Drive. So very exciting. Right here in town is their headquarters, and we thought it would be really interesting to go get a tour. So would love to take them up on that.
I'm assuming that would be during business hours.
We'll have to see to what extent they would be willing or able to do it in the evening. We haven't followed up about scheduling. We just met with them last week, so
Okay.
yeah, we can try.
Yeah.
I know that's probably going to work best for lots of folks, but. And then we did, I did check in about the PCA grant to see when they're expecting that call for projects, and it sounds likely that won't come out until July or August, potentially at the earliest. Sounds like there's some potential it could slip until later. So, something to keep on our radar, but not, something we need to work at imminently.
I think it would be good for us to, though, really maybe discuss it at the next meeting so that we can be prepared.
We do have a subcommittee for that, so do we want it on the full OSEC agenda, or do we want to have subcommittee?
Who's the subcommittee? Sorry.
Aaron and Barbara currently, but there could be one more added.
So it'd be good for us to really look at that and try to start working on it, because doing it at the last minute just really doesn't, it
Yeah,
was too hard.
I agree with Michelle. We almost need to have something ready to go
Yeah.
when the application period is open.
Yeah. Okay. We can put it on the agenda.
And we could add a
Aaron
third
and
member
Barbara.
to that.
Yep.
Is there anyone, or
Can,
we,
yeah. I don't know. I'm still seeing it up there. I think this is the one that's. Oh, okay. You're the host though, so I don't know. Sorry, we're not sure what's going on. Technical devices over here. There was also a request to get some EV stats. So I have some things pulled up, but I feel like I've already been talking for a really long time, and I didn't have enough time to put it together in a more summary kind of way. What they have on their website, I'll just show you real fast, and then maybe you can tell me what kind of numbers you are most interested in seeing, and I could bring something back next time. So this is the summary page on their website, but you can see as far as unique drivers, it only, shows me the last 6 months. So we've had 104 unique drivers across our 3 sites in February. Low in December was 82. Currently, we have 2 folks charging and 29 chargers available.
by currently, you mean right at this minute?
At this exact moment,
Okay.
yes. And then you can see kind of monthly revenue numbers, energy consumption. This looks like it's just for the last week, but you can kind of see anything from 427, 442 kilowatt hours down to looks like dropped off, at any given moment. And then this, I believe, is more a kind of all-time summary for all of our stations. 168 megawatt hours charged, 8,524 total charging sessions, total avoided greenhouse gas emissions of 75,703 kilograms, equivalent of planting over 2,000 trees and saving over 13,000 gallons of gas.
I have a question. Is there revenue associated with the charging?
There is. We are also paying energy costs, so we're getting revenue from the stations, and we're paying PG&E for the energy. So we've set the prices so that hopefully they're roughly offsetting. It's a little bit hard to tell at this facility because we have solar here. So it's very hard to decipher what exactly our utility rate is at any given moment.
We have that same problem with the solar on our house. We're like, oh.
We're not losing money though on it.
I don't believe so.
Okay.
Can you, oops, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Oh, can you tell if the users are repeat users?
So, yes. So this one.
Yeah.
Unique driver.
Yes.
So it recognizes the vehicle. Each vehicle gets, has a certain ID.
Yeah.
So these are counting just the unique ones. So if you
okay,
go into a particular charging site, this one is Bayshore. So they just opened at the beginning of November. It definitely ramps up over time. So this is still, pretty modest numbers of, a few charging sessions a day. But this is the kind of thing you can get. And then if you can see like a full history. So this is the kind of thing when we have revenue statements and I need to send something to our finance department to support those revenue statements, I come in here and pull like a full transaction history for the quarter to go along with that. And then here's Mission Blue. You can see this one goes all the way back. I did set this up so it was kind of encompassing the whole period of time each location had been activated. So, we're looking at something from, maybe none on some days, but most days, a few charging sessions up to, 18, 19 charging sessions a day at Mission Blue Center. And then at City Hall, there's this one weird spike that I'm wondering if there was some kind of data error or what happened there. I just noticed that when I pulled this up, so might need to investigate that, because otherwise our energy consumption looks like it's really small down here, but this one day is like 2,000 kilowatt hours, which seems something weird happened there. I don't know what happened with the data, but you can definitely see how the blue is the charging sessions and how it just is going up over time. And then I think it was September or October when we had the 10 level 2s installed for the first few months, and then the fast charger came online. So you can kind of see there's like a little bit of a jump there. So I can pull charge sessions, energy consumption, kilowatt hours, the peak energy demand, the revenue, the number of unique drivers, and then we do have penalty fees set at some sites so that we encourage people to unplug and move on after a certain period of time. I think that's primarily at the fast charger, but we may have set it for some of the ones out here. We have actually had some days where there aren't available chargers out here at City Hall besides for the ADA chargers. I actually got an email from somebody not too long ago asking about that, saying, they've loved having these chargers. They come, they park their non-Tesla EV overnight, and they take their e-scooter back up to their home and come back down in the morning. And there have been days where the only open charger is the ADA charger. So I did let them know, hey, Bayshore is open now, so hopefully if this one's full, you can find one over there that's not too much farther away from home. But it is definitely something we've started to notice, this bank of chargers out here getting pretty frequent usage.
Yeah, I was just wondering if we need to promote them more, just so that all of the chargers are getting full usage.
I don't know that we need to promote them a ton. I mean, we've been trying to make sure people know that Bayshore is open because it was
Closed for so long.
closed for so long. So we've put that message out a couple times in the blast and whatnot. But yeah, I mean, it seems like it's definitely, people are finding them.
Okay,
Yeah, they're out there on maps and whatnot.
thank you.
And we did kind of, when we applied, we put in 10 and then we went for 10 in each location, but it was kind of thinking about future growth.
Yeah, I just want to make sure that they're really used and, that people really know that they're there and that they're available.
Yeah.
And that we are getting good use on them. And I take it the one at the village is still,
We have a PCE local agency grant that we need to dial in the application for, but we are planning to put a portion of it towards a remove and replace of that. So I'm hoping we're going to be able to get that going in the next couple of months. I have a quote from, I requested quotes from a couple companies, and the folks who did these chargers were the lowest bid. One company wasn't interested in that site, and then ChargePoint was a higher cost than Chargy that we have for all of our other sites. So we're planning to move forward with them and have a quote, and as soon as we get that grant application finished up and approved, then we'll be able to move forward with that.
good.
Yeah.
Thank you. Any questions?
So I'm curious about the setup. I'm assuming since it's level 2, it's not tied into the building specifically, right? That it would just be.
Oh, these here? Yeah, they're all on the same building electrical panel.
Okay. Is
Yeah.
the same true with Mission Blue as well?
So Mission Blue is interesting. So there's actually 2 electrical services there. There's 475, which is the building, and then 455, which is the ball fields and the like restroom and concession stand. And so it turned out that the panel for 455 was right there at the edge of the parking lot. So they're not on the building's electrical, they're on the electrical for the, baseball field and concession stand.
So those chargers would not specifically be benefiting from the solar on the building,
No, unfortunately.
right?
Yeah.
Okay, interesting. Now, I was just looking at the, the revenue numbers, I think are particularly interesting to me. It'd be interesting to do all kinds of ways you could cut it, I suppose, but it'd be interesting to see, I suppose you could just do what's the city's expenditure generally for electricity, and then get a kilowatt hour number off of that, saying, well, we've got solar, we've got this, we've got credits, whatever, and be able to see like, okay, well, how much better is that than PG&E? And then based on that, how many kilowatt hours are being used going towards charging, right? Subtract that from the revenue numbers and get a sense of like, okay, this is the profit that we're seeing,
Yeah, I mean, I don't expect to be seeing profit, really. We've set the pricing at a pretty reasonable level. But yeah, I mean, it can be done.
Yeah. No, I think one of the reasons this came up was because we were talking about, potentially looking at that as a thing that could go into a climate fund. Makes a lot of sense that this type of money would logically go there. So,
Yeah.
I'm sort of,
Yeah.
super curious about like what kind of numbers are we seeing?
Yeah. I will note that we did set the cost for charging on the kilowatt hour basis higher for the fast charger. So
That makes
we're
sense.
encouraging people to use the slow charging when they can because it is more affordable. Not that I think our fast charging price is necessarily out of line with what you would find on other sites, but I did have some kind of folks questioning that at some point.
Well, maybe, you said there's the penalties, the plug-in penalty, the forgetting your car penalty. Maybe those could go into the climate fund. I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay, next.
Other staff updates? Sorry, that was
I mean,
very
you
lengthy.
took all of them, yeah. Worked on some of those things.
I don't really have much for you tonight. As far as building efficiency, getting the buildings into compliance, we're just waiting on a few audits to be completed for the property owner that had 10 buildings here in Brisbane. I have 2 others also awaiting audits. They have a couple more weeks to get those in. I did have to issue a notice of violation last week against one building owner that was quite some time out of compliance. Other than that, Adrian and I have been working with Touchstone with getting the beyond benchmarking modules integrated online through Touchstone. So it's basically just streamlining our compliance process, the dates of when they are going to be in compliance, the interim due dates and things like that. So we're hopefully going to get that out next week.
Thank you, Dolores. Questions on that? No? Everybody good? Okay. Next is subcommittee reports. Events. We talked already about the February event, didn't we? No.
No.
Oh. Time just as sort
But
of
you know
worked.
what? I think I thought we did too, because I should have put some pictures or something in here. It feels like it was a really long time
I have a
ago.
lot of pictures on my phone. I can talk about the event. It was incredible. We had like 50 people. And Ari and Ariel and Aspen from Mountain Watch, Adrian from Sustainability, Jeff from Park and Rec, and then we had several members of both the board for San Bruno Mountain Watch and OSEC members come.
I saw the picture.
Barbara brought her entire family. It was wonderful. And I hobbled along and went up and took pictures, and it was just great. Fantastic sandwiches, beautiful 100% cotton. Thank you, Adrian. Green T-shirts that my husband promptly stole and wore, but I'll get it back. And it was just an absolutely stunningly gorgeous day. Stuff was blooming. One of the most exciting things for me, as I walked around mostly and hobbled around and mostly took pictures, but I went back to sites where we planted last year when we did this, and there were little tiny new lupins coming up where we had planted seeds, and I was so excited. A bunch of kind of amorphic pictures of that, but it was really, really a great event. And Adrian, I know that you put a lot of work in, you and Jeff put a lot of work in to organize that. And it was real, and so does Ariel and Aspen. Amazing.
I mean, more so Ariel and Aspen, but
Yeah.
thank you.
But you provided the food and the goodies, and thank you very much to our very generous partner, South San Francisco Scavenger, who sponsored that event. It was really fun. So our next fun event coming up is, we'll talk about, I guess, on calendar items. Or,
Yeah, you know what? I don't think Ariel has confirmed the date yet, but we did discuss a tentative date. So I have it tentatively on the calendar, and I need to follow up to see if he can confirm. I am hoping that he could.
yeah.
We discussed it at the end of the last event, and it sounded like it should work, but
And this is the Earth Day
the Earth
event.
Day event, yeah.
And, okay. And do we know what we're going to do yet, or have we talked about that with him?
Ariel suggested possibly going back to the Northeast Ridge site again, but we haven't confirmed that.
Okay. Yeah, it's a very, now that we finally have access to that area, we really have a lot of work to catch up on. It's up on Calippi Hill, and we didn't have access for many years. It's still not quite in the public domain, but we're getting closer after, I don't even want to talk about that. Never mind. Okay, education and outreach. Oh, Mary.
Yeah, do we have anything to update? I don't think so. The last project was the library.
Yeah, and we're due again at the library, and I think we're gonna need to come up with a topic. So we may want to see if we can circle up to find a meeting date soon.
Okay.
At the close of the meeting, and I do have on here subcommittee reports and reorganization. So if Julie has an interest, especially in any of these committees that only have 2 members, or even one, definitely chime in. I think you mentioned you might have an interest in education and outreach.
Yeah, good
Okay.
memory, definitely that one.
Um,
And perhaps
so that
climate
would-
action.
Yeah.
Although I suppose
happens
anything
with the,
Noonan's name
urban
is on will
science
need a
fair?
backfill if it's short, right?
Oh, you're right. I should have
I'm
updated
seeing the
that.
yellow highlighter even if it's not there.
Yeah, we will have openings on those committees as well. I don't think anything else on education and outreach besides we'll need to get cracking on a new display soon.
Didn't you do Lippman Science Fair is different, okay. And climate action.
Yeah, well, we had our first meeting in a while, it sounds like. Yeah, we reviewed the notes that I had shared with the group, I guess a few meetings back at this point, and talked about it, a few different directions we could go. Did some brainstorming. It was, a productive session, I thought. But we sort of came to, by the close of it, agreement that, we should probably put some, get some more context from some of the folks that worked on the 1% for the Arts initiative, get a sense of, what went well, what didn't go so well, what their process was like. So we're, working on getting those folks in, hopefully in the next meeting, but we'll see if they can make it.
Yeah, I could have sworn it was Beth Grossman, but Beth informed us that it was actually Kevin Fryer and Karen Lentz who spearheaded that, so we'll be meeting with them.
Yeah, Hopefully we can get them in at some point, but yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Open space plan update. I have an update, and I think I mentioned it briefly in the introductory statements, but all of the properties, the deeds have finally been filed and locked down, that those acres that were purchased for open space will remain as open space. I think the next thing that we need to do is, through the city council, is have a change in the general plan designating them not as any kind of, designating that area as OS for open space. So that anyone outside of our city doesn't look at that and say, oh, look at all this area, they could build houses. Nope, this is protected. So that was really a Herculean task over the last several years to get this all done. Karen?
Yeah, pulling up all those deeds, declaration of use, limitation, or restriction, I don't remember which term, and it would require a vote of, whoever is on the council, all 5 council members to overturn
Yeah.
such thing.
For any one of those properties that have been acquired that way. Now we need to acquire more. And that's next, work that all of us should think about doing. And I guess we'll be moving on to work on some other areas of reviewing the open space plan.
That's one that has Jason on it, so there's space, I guess, if someone else were interested.
Yep. So if either of you have questions about what we're doing there, do you want to, we can let you know, or we can talk about it. But basically, we have a open space plan for the city of Brisbane that was adopted in 2001, and it covers the entire Brisbane. And there's different sections, and we're sort of reviewing the different sections and kind of bringing them up to date and seeing where we can improve the open space plan. And that's basically what we're doing, kind of a little bit section by section, depending on what areas need it. And definitely the work we did with the acres was to update the criteria and accept more criteria that was studied at the time to be able to encompass acres, properties that had development on 2 sites instead of just 1 site, so that we could include them as a priority conservation area, because that's the buffer, for, and so we still have a lot of space up there that's not protected.
So I'm curious, when you acquire the properties, since I was reading through some of the EIR biological sections, do you survey to see what kind of biological diversity you have in those properties?
We have surveyed those with, in terms of the work plan that we do to maintain those areas as habitat. We have an annual work plan where we have a contractor who comes in and does certain maintenance, environmental maintenance to ensure the habitats of those certain areas. It's expensive, so it's a long process that we go through to try and keep those acres in the best habitat condition that they can be in. Yeah, but we have work to do there. Does that summarize it properly, Karen?
Yeah, the best condition they can be in with the funding we have
we have.
available, because there's always more you could do.
Yeah, there's always more to do.
And just a tiny bit more background is that the city had been purchasing some of these acres but without a plan. So they formed a committee and developed this plan to prioritize what parts they wanted to preserve. And then that was the Open Space and Ecology Committee. It reformed because it had 2 council members on it when they developed the open space plan. But it did, at this point, I can't tell you how many total acres there are, but we own 48 of 60 to 70, maybe?
Yeah, I think that's about right. There's the map, if you looked at today's blast, Brisbane Blast, that comes out from the city manager, there's actually a map there that shows the acres, the parcels that the city owns that have been now confirmed with the deeds. Oh, great, look at that. Okay, so the area, yeah. the blue ones are the ones that are city-owned parcels, and all of the beige ones are ones that are acres, and the ones in the line, behind the line, are ones that are in the priority conservation area that we don't yet own. So you can see like there's some very vulnerable ones that really need to be acquired for permanent open space. Questions?
And a bit of it has social trails so that you can go around up there. And actually the contractor that maintains the invasive species uses those social trails to
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to ask
Hike
if
around
there
the
was any
mountains.
access.
There is, but some of it does cross private property, so you have to be cognizant of that. And also, just as a pet owner, most people should know this, dogs are not allowed in the county park, period. On a leash or otherwise, they're not allowed. In the acres, you should always, keep them on a leash and also pick up after them. And it's sketchy. You can get poison oak for your dog and stuff like that. But in the county park, it's not allowed. A lot of people don't pay attention to that, but it's not allowed.
You can also get poison oak from your husband.
Well, in our household, it kind of goes the other way.
I got a big old rash because he went jogging.
Okay, next item on the agenda. So if either of you want to work on the open space plan with us, let us know.
No poison oak involved in the open space plan.
Oh, yes, there is.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's why I gave huge kudos to Jason for going and doing the field work that I couldn't do anymore, and go up and walk that area and do, assess it with David Schooley of what each and every property had that was, up to date with what the criteria were.
Actually, we have a nice presentation that Michelle and I put together that I can provide to you. I think I still have it, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Crocker Trail Frog Habitat. Mary?
I think there was something on
Karen?
your end, Karen, that was going to happen. I didn't talk to Paul.
I did talk to Paul.
Oh, you did, because we're supposed to have a cleanup, right?
When I talked to him, because he's now on the Complete Streets Safety Committee, he was, I'm doing my thing. He had said he wanted to have a volunteer day, but
Yeah.
he kind of said everything's going well. He's doing what he's doing. So I'll circle
looks
back with
great.
him. I can
Yeah.
circle back with him.
Okay. All right.
And we do have a slot open on that subcommittee too. Ooh, next is my favorite, tree issues. And per Barbara, I should be the one in bold now.
Noted, thank you.
And so
I'm gonna ask
last week,
Dolores to note.
on the 19th, we did have a tree subcommittee meeting. And first of all, I really want to thank Adrian for working with Planet Geo and sharing the training video. So I watched the training video extensively prior to the meeting we had. And it's an amazing tool. It's not the end all to beat all. A tree it doesn't, but when we are able to integrate the data from the Planet Geo survey with the street survey, it will give us a much better picture of the canopy, what trees we have, what needs to be done. We sort of broke up the committee into three main thrusts, shall I say, of areas of opportunity and things that we want to accomplish with the tree committee. And one is the tree inventory and the city tree inventory and our goals in terms of canopy and tree health in that regard. The second thing that we want to work on is refining some of the things in our tree ordinance and making them more, there's just some gaps there that we need to work on. And in the tree ordinance includes what trees you're allowed to remove, what are the conditions of removal, what trees you're not allowed to remove, what are protected trees, et cetera. And so there's some loopholes there that we need to kind of look at and tighten up. And then the third thing that we want to do is form a volunteer adjunct group to be able to help people with their personal trees and also with the city trees if needed. But mostly, there are a lot of really magnificent and incredible trees on private property that the city cannot do anything to help. And a lot of times homeowners don't know what to do, or they're older and can't manage the work. And one of the most devastating things that's happening is trees dying because of ivy infestation. And so this, trying to put together a volunteer adjunct group, this is a passion of mine, so that we can bring in expertise, volunteer expertise, and also bring in trained volunteers to be able to help individuals and, save their trees and increase tree health. Because although the city has a lot of trees that they're responsible for, there's a huge number of trees that are on private property that we all want to, be taken care of properly. So we've split up these three kind of areas, and Mary's leading the charge on the Planet Geo and tree inventory data, and Barbara has extensive work already on the tree ordinance, and she's going to be leading that kind of thrust. And then, my passion is the volunteer adjunct group to start working on and maybe getting waivers and documents so that people feel confident and there's no liability involved with volunteers, and training a cadre of volunteers to go out and be able to safely work on people's trees and remove ivy.
Yeah, I wanted to mention that an idea I had and that would be related to that is the removal of the invasive species for older people who can't do the yard work themselves. I think that would dovetail in nicely because there would be the liability forms. And I think also getting younger people, school kids, interested in that.
Yeah.
And just being able to go in and help people in their own yards do that, and the trees and the weeds and the ivy.
Yeah, it sort of all goes together, but under the tree part of it, that's kind of like, invasives. One of the worst invasives we have is ivy. And people think, oh, but my ivy is preventing erosion. And actually, it's quite the opposite. The ivy is actually causing dramatic erosion. You just can't see it for all the leaves. Okay, so that's the kind of the update for the.
I did want to say that, we chose these three areas that we're all going to each spearhead, and then we're going to work together on. But one thing we sort of forgot was updating the approved tree planting list for the city, which Shauna Calmey's all but finished before she had to move away. So I think at some point we should figure out how to work that back in, because it's so close to being done, and we've got to figure out how to, maybe we just all three pound that one out first before we break off and do our other things. I'm not sure, but I just hate to see all the work that she did, A, be forgotten, and B, rot, because information does rot.
Do you have that?
It's in email somewhere.
If you could send that to me,
I think,
I'll start working on reviewing the list with the resources that I have.
Mm-hmm.
And then also I have one or two experts outside of our committee that might be willing to take a look at it too.
Yeah, she had some of her tree friends, arborist friends, look at it, but I'm sure it could use another round.
Yeah.
And that was Karen sent that, and it was in the Outlook email somewhere a while back. So.
Maybe we can incorporate that into one of the library displays. You know, tree planting, oh, this is what, is approved in the city of Brisbane.
Yeah, we had talked about doing the, doing a library display about the tree inventory, but I think the tree inventory isn't quite ready and we need to do the library display first. So if we wanted to do, 2 back-to-back that were both about trees, but a different, variety, we potentially could do that. Although I think we might have just done trees, like a couple
Yeah, didn't we just do a tree
versions
one?
before. Like we did climate action this time, but I think only like a couple months before we had done something about trees. So we may want to consider mixing it up and
What about,
doing the trees when we have the inventory to share.
it's spring, right?
Yeah.
Almost. Not quite.
I was thinking about it.
Well, I mean, by the time this comes out, but maybe something about, kind of like your 21st century victory garden. I mean, maybe something about how you can incorporate growing your own.
I'm not necessarily advocating that this would be the next display, but sometime this year, maybe, once we have
The list.
the list.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all.
Just an idea for this one. Okay, next
No,
comes.
on that list, you guys can recommend a list, but I'm gonna have to bring in the buildings and grounds team leader in terms of, unless, I don't know if you're thinking about a list for street, public trees or private trees or both, but
Both,
we're gonna have to
Yeah.
vet it at the
Oh,
staff level too.
absolutely.
Okay.
because I have on my list, trees that don't drop hazards.
Yeah. Shauna and I went through and pulled out everything that drops stuff.
Oh, good, thank you.
That was our first thing we did.
Since we lost some of our big, beautiful trees due to that,
Yeah.
after investing 35 years in them.
Oh, speaking of which, when
Because
is
I
the city
think
going to
they were on
replant the
that
one on
list.
San Bruno and Alvarado?
San Bruno and Alvarado.
The big one that was by the church parking lot got taken out because it was dropping stuff and it was supposed to be replanted like years ago.
Well, we can bring it up in committee.
Yeah.
Okay. Littman Science Fair. Oh, wow.
Okay.
Anthony, I heard you got pulled into it.
Yeah,
and it was really good.
Anthony and I attended the judging night, and then a couple of days later, presented the winners of the OSEC Awards. It was very well attended, even on a dark and rainy night. It was packed. And we were very surprised, at least I was, there was a lot more projects dedicated to the environment. And usually there isn't. So Anthony and I went around and we wrote down the projects that we thought were, we would award. And it's blinded, so they're just all numbers. So we lined up our projects and we were aligned with pretty much every single project that we chose, and there was 4. And so I'll let you know. So Ruby Sewell, her project was called Absorbing Heat, and it was CO2 related and clean energy. James Trout was basically focused on a solution for water scarcity. So his was called Fog Catchers. It was great. And then there was one, Karen Walker, who happens to be Anthony's daughter. We both chose. And I'm like, okay, it was blinded. It wasn't any, conflict of interest there. But hers was CO2 and the effect on heat. And it was very well done. And then we had a 6th grade honorable mention, which was Jack Larson, ocean acidification. And his was the 6th grade projects were mostly geared towards environmental vocabulary. So it was really cute the way he set it up, and he got an honorable mention. But they all got framed certificates, and we're very happy. We took a lot of Anthony took a lot of pictures, which we forwarded to Caroline.
Oh, good. I was gonna ask. I wasn't included in that.
I
so
know.
hopefully she's sharing them.
They were
somewhere.
not
Do we
in
know?
the blast or, so I'm a
Yeah,
little disappointed
I didn't
about
see
that.
anything in the
because-
star either.
Yeah.
My son did one on fog catchers many, many, many years
Oh, yeah,
ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. But he didn't win anything.
Yeah, but now he's on Park and Rec Commission.
Now he's on Park and Rec.
Awesome. Congratulations, Mommy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Public service for the win.
Okay. And then,
Well, Anthony, did you want to add anything? I'm sorry.
I don't know that I had anything to add particularly, but I was impressed by the number of
The
projects that
projects, yeah,
were
yeah.
related. Yeah, I think we both kind of went in going, well, is there going to be enough?
I know, and I
But-
kept saying, it's going to be a stretch,
Yeah.
but there
But
was loads.
It was
Yeah.
almost a little overwhelming. We definitely
Yeah.
had, we were a little bit spoiled this year, I think.
Yeah, we were, yeah.
We used to have stickers that we would we could put on any
On their display.
on their display, you know, for anyone that kind of like did any kind of positive environmental impact thing. In addition to the awards, I don't know if we want to bring that back or not, but
That'd be cool, yeah. I was actually super curious about it because we'd seen that difference
Yeah.
from year to year. I asked the teachers about it and they were sort of like, well, we think the kids may just be concerned, thinking a lot about the environment lately and it's sort of top of mind, so I thought that was interesting too. But-
I don't know that we need to talk about the Baylands specific plan.
Well, I was
Or do we-
curious if we wanted reminders about what these chapters were to see if Julie wanted to
Oh, that would be good.
in
Yeah.
on any of these. Chapter 6 that was previously Barbara and Jason and is now just Barbara is the circulation chapter. So that's going to be
traffic.
more focused on like traffic, transportation, and whatnot. The other chapters listed 3 is development standards and controls. Chapter 8 is public facilities financing. Chapter 5 is conservation and open space, and 7 is infrastructure. And then I believe we had decided that everyone was going to read the 00 chapter, vision and executive summary. Chapter 1, the introduction. Chapter 2, land use program and definitions, and Chapter 4, sustainability framework. Does that sound right to you guys? It's been a long time since we doled these out.
It might be really good to kind of write that out and send it along again.
Sure, I
That'd
could do
be
that.
really helpful.
Yeah.
I know I have it marked and I have the binder and I have, because I got it in
Yeah,
paper
I
form.
can include that in a follow-up.
Okay. That binder kind of got moved to the side when the other binder for the quarry project came. Okay. And then liaisons to the council will now be me and you.
And we did not move forward with scheduling the meeting about the work plan that we had discussed last month because we hadn't done it and then we knew appointments were happening. So we will go ahead and try to get that scheduled as soon as we can now that we have those roles filled again.
Okay. And can you make sure that Julie and what's the new guy's name? He has a nickname. I can't remember what it is.
I believe it's Rohendra. I believe his name is Rohendra.
Rohendra, right.
I'm not sure if I'm
Can-
pronouncing that correctly.
Can you
but-
make sure they get a copy of the work plan in
Sure.
the meanwhile? Okay.
Yeah.
That'd be great. Okay. And then Bayland Subcommittee.
There hasn't been
hasn't been
any
anything.
emails or activity associated with that.
And
But
there
we,
has-
we did ask and it still is a
Right, it's
committee,
still-
so
yeah.
maybe it has to do with once the DEIR comes out, there'll be
Yeah,
reasons
could
to
be.
meet, or after, or.
And then Sierra Point Park Planning, I don't know what that, not even touching that right now. We find out where the dust settles. And PCA grant. Definitely.
I would like to come off the PCA grant at this point. Just saying.
Okay.
I'm not gonna.
Is anyone else
bandwidth.
interested in joining that subcommittee?
We can decide who else is on next time when we hopefully have a full house, but
Yeah.
yeah.
I'll probably be interested if we actually start working on it before the grant deadline comes up.
Okay.
Okay.
We can settle that next month.
Yeah.
That's a good idea.
All right. Chair and committee calendar items.
Okay, I think we've probably talked about most of this already, but we are looking at Earth Day event, hopefully being Saturday, April 26th. Compost giveaway, TBD, but sometime around mid or late April, usually, whenever we can coordinate that delivery with Scavenger. And then I don't remember if we mentioned last month that Bike to Work Day is May 15th. So those are the most immediate events coming up in the next few months. We are still working on that tree inventory, but really cautiously optimistic that we will be able to bring that to you next month.
Sorry, when did you say the compost giveaway day was?
We don't have a date yet, but sometime in mid or late April is we usually try to time it around Earth Day, and then we just have to see, and I think we can't really get this far ahead, more exact dates. Scavenger tries to time it so that they can backhaul a load from Napa when they take a load up from their digester. So, they do that not every day, so we can't say we want it specifically this day, but when we get a little closer, we can kind of dial in and say this day or sometime in this, week. So yeah, we'll be able to get that. Hopefully we'll have a tentative date that we'll have in the March Star. And yeah.
You can take election and chair and vice chair out of July.
Yeah, you know what? I wasn't entirely certain if we were just going to move our elections permanently to the beginning of the year or how we were
They used to be
planning
at
that.
the beginning of the year.
I mean,
after.
you did chair both of the January meetings anyhow, so perhaps it makes sense that we're just aligned on a calendar year instead of a fiscal year now. I don't have any problem with that. I
Yeah,
don't know
that's
that there's any particular problem with that otherwise, so yeah.
Yeah, I mean, works for me.
Yeah, the reason it got off was
Beginning of the year, right?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
it makes sense. I think Mary had a really good point.
what?
The terms expire.
Beginning of the year,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
we should
Yeah,
do it.
okay.
Yeah.
Well,
And what
we'll
happened
keep it-
was we didn't get it filled, and so it kept getting pushed off.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, all right, well, I'll
Okay.
remove that from July and we'll keep it at the beginning of the year, January, February,
Okay.
something up there.
Oh, and look what's there. Day in the park. Let's start thinking of ideas to make it exciting this year. Last year was kind of like, nah, we had too much going on at one time.
Any calendar questions, comments? I have not updated this yet. Julie, I forgot to ask you when we had orientation if you could send me a photo that we can update this. So hopefully next time we'll have one from both you and Rohindra and we'll update this.
No, mine's not recent at all. I chose the best looking picture I could find that was relevant.
Mine's a little old too.
Any chair and committee member matters?
I just want to remind everyone that if you have kids that are looking for volunteer opportunities, or if you're looking for volunteer opportunities on the mountain, that San Bruno Mountain Watch has programs all the time and we constantly need volunteers, and kids can get service hours for volunteering. So if you go to mountainwatch.org, we have all of our things that are scheduled out there for people to go on the mountain, do weeding, planting, learning, nursery volunteers, etc. So that's just a little plug out there. Yeah.
Yeah, volunteering at the nursery is a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I've done that, quite a bit of that.
And volunteering on the mountain's a lot of fun too. I did a lot of that. Yeah, not so much anymore. And the next meeting is March 26th. Anybody have any other items or issues? Not
I
hearing-
used to cruise all of the websites like Baylands and stuff and have all kinds of upcoming stuff to share with people, but I've kind of gotten out of the habit of that.
It's called a full-time job, Barbara.
Yeah, I know.
Welcome to the real world.
I know.
I know. But if anybody else wants to take that on, we're always interested to hear other events coming up that people can participate in. Yeah, and other tidbits and information and facts. Glenn Feldman, who retired and moved to Colorado, used to bring a lot of stuff to the table
Yeah.
of interest to the committee and to the public. So if you come across stuff like that you want to share at the meeting, by all means, you know. And often she would even help craft letters to, what are some of the examples of some of the Glenn letters that the council adopted and sent? Like divesting from fossil fuels
Yeah, that was
for
the one that
investment?
I was thinking of. She
Yeah.
was very involved with Fossil Free California, and she brought forward requests for signing on in support of the divestment bills in the State House. Neither
I
of
only
which have
remember the ones
passed,
I
but-
did, which is not very useful.
But
I'm
you did
kind
some
of
too.
selfish.
Yeah, so,
That's all I can remember.
okay, well, anything else? This meeting is adjourned.
Yay!